Mhm. Good evening, beautiful people. Wherever you are, good morning. If you're not in UK, in the UK, it's in the evening. Good afternoon. Um, so yeah, this is um, the show, today's show that we're going to discuss and talk about. Um, so it's the issue of tribalism in our communities, and what must we do to root it out. So that is the topic that we're gonna go about and discuss, and also talk about the solution. Um, so yeah, before we dive into the topic, I'll just do the quick introductions of who House of Africa is, or what House of Africa is. It an organization. We've got a number of panelists as well. I'm gonna introduce them as we progress with the show. So House of Africa, we decided to come together, in our community here in UK, just because of a number of things, to form this organization called House of Africa, Foundation. So the reason is because we realized that in our communities there were, a few people, or a few, especially like in the Black community and Asian community, that were like representing these communities in the leadership positions. So we formed this organization so we could, help in our communities to transform, these followers into leaders and agents of change, because we know that for us to realize change in our communities, we must have, leaders from these communities that will be, speak on behalf of these people, be the voice, and we realize a meaningful change. So that is the main reason that drove us to form this organization called House of Africa, Foundation. So we want to provide, platforms to enhance, their leadership, qualities, and we're here to teach, leaders to think and build, not just for their local communities but also for, the global community, because we've realized that, young people, or young generation in America, they're at the forefront, you know uh, with regards to, creativity and innovation. Most notable, uh, Mark Zuckerberg is, one of the main leaders in the world. We use, his platforms, and we also know that, in our, communities, especially like in Black people, Asian community, there are people that are, have creative and innovative ideas, and we can do more as Black people to join, these people, and be influencers, when it comes to making decisions in our communities. So we want to groom, leaders in our communities that will reduce poverty and secure the future of the people. And we have noticed that, in Africa, especially like in developing nations, there are not a lot of leaders that, are keen on securing the future of the people. So we want to, change that narrative, and groom people that will secure the future of the people, because our mission is to promote, demonstrate, you know and help advance a free, peaceful, and a prosperous world. And that's why we exist as House of Africa, because we strongly believe that there's no success without a successor, in everything that we do. So, there's a story that I always, tell people, because we're not inventing any new wheel here. For example, the Jewish community, when they were persecuted back in the days, I mean, more than 1 million Jews, are died. But when they came together and they realized that they were on their own, they came together and they started rebuilding. They built institutions and, businesses, and they also, spoke about, generational wealth in their communities. So that wealth, started circulating in their communities. And also notable in America, more than 70% of the economy in America is, are controlled by the Jews. And that is the reason why um, they managed to rebuild Israel. So if us as black people can emulate the same principle, we'll achieve more here in Europe and also in Africa. We need to come together and empower one another, and do more in our communities, secure the future of the people, and ensure that the resources that Africa has, will also look after uh, uh, the people in the communities. So that is the reason why we, formed House of Africa, Foundation, and to collaborate with people. And we believe that we're stronger together. And I mean, this year it has taught us that we need one another. This pandemic, that we are stronger together. Whatever happens in any part of the world, it will affect us in one way or another. So moving forward as a world, we just need to collaborate and ensure that there is progress in every part of the world. That is why we are here as House of Africa. So today there are a lot of panelists that are going to we're going to discuss about this topic, issues of tribalism in our communities. What must we do to root it out? So um, I've got Stanley Gwelo. He's from Zimbabwe. Um, he's from a Shona tribe, and he's based in the UK. He is a nurse by profession, qualified engineer, has got an engineering degree, and he's aspiring to be an entrepreneur. So I would like, we would like to hear from you, Stanley. What has been your experience with regards to, things like, tribalism, notable maybe where you come from, like in your country, Zimbabwe. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, host. Hello, everyone. Yeah, as you have heard, my experience growing up in Zimbabwe in terms of tribalism is not something that I would say that I actually was affected by it directly, but yes, not affected, but also affected in another sense. I'll explain as I go on. Yeah, in Zimbabwe, predominantly there's the Shona people and also like the Ndebele. And I remember there was one instance soon after the independence in the early 1980s that the majority tribe or group of people who are the Shonas, and they were the ones politically ruling as well. So they engaged in a very sad, violent attack on the minority group called the Ndebele, and that attack is commonly known as Gukurahundi, where people were just being attacked without any provocation, just because you belong to this group of people, the minority, the Ndebele. So that happened in front of my eyes. So my experiences are more to do with what I saw happening. And so there was the Gukura Hundi. And one other thing, so obviously you can see that in this aspect of tribalism, if I may backtrack, there are certain issues that sort of like bring it about in terms of maybe in terms of like, the political that I've just explained. It could be religious, it could be, within one country, that other people come from the north, the south, the west. So it could be regional, it could be,
Mhm.
even in terms of lifestyle or class, in society, to say, these come from, the rural or urban, or, they are low class in terms of, their work careers, so you don't mingle with them, or you just create a divide between yourselves, or it could be ideology or other things that we can talk about, even if it's not like people from one country. It's maybe I come from Zimbabwe, and this other person will say I'm a South African. So it could be, those national tribalistic issues as well. So there could be ethnicity, like we have kinship. Language itself, that you speak this language, I speak another language. And even in one language, like in Zimbabwe, there is also, in the Shona group of people, there are dialects which are there. And so you find that there's segregation again amongst, those different dialects. Um, then the other thing as well, which sadly is brought about by tribalism in our communities, is the issue of marginalization. So whichever tribe is more powerful, like in my country, the ruling party was more powerful. So you'd find that the region where the Ndebeles were residing, it was marginalized. There was lack of development in those areas, and it's still happening up to today. And again, you see, it brought out issues like nepotism, where there was favoritism in terms of, let's say, employment. Um, like one thing I always talk with Kaiser is the issue of, let's say, employment, that you'd find in the police force, they would hire a guy to become a policeman in this other region of Matabeleland, coming from Mashonaland, to come and be a policeman. And so you'd
Hmm.
find, like, most of the policemen, they are Shonas, and none of the local people are taking up employment. They're just being ignored. So you find, all those sort of things. Those are the things that I found quite distressing.
Hmm.
um, yeah, and again, it could be very emotional in different ways,
Hmm.
or it was an issue of verbal attack, just to make you feel useless, people's self-esteem being affected. And so emotionally, it was quite a painful
Hmm.
thing to watch. And in that regard, like the symbol to say, people become stronger when they are united. So when there's that division, which is normally brought about by tribalism, then
Yeah.
there is no development, there is no
Yeah.
success. Yeah, so I think
You can't
it's
progress.
a very important issue that needs
To be
not
ironed
only
out.
thinking about, but also taking action against.
Hmm. Hmm. So we can't fold, our, hands and stuff, and not do anything about it.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
I mean, as a fellow countryman, I would like to say, this issue of tribalism, it wasn't just, between um Shonas and Develes, you know. Um, for me personally, what I learned is that, you know um, there was this issue, just before independence. Our elders were fighting, against the colonialists. Um, just quickly going to 1979. You know, you know, when we were trying to gain our freedom. You know, um, there was this issue, because we'll just have to go quick, because we don't have, enough time.
mm-hmm.
But it was, about, those people that were trying to gain freedom. But we know that, the ruling party now, being freedom fighters, they ended up aspiring for a one party state. And that one party state, it meant that the country was going to be ruled by just a few individuals, and people were not going to be allowed to express themselves. And when you look at it, even within the Shona people, there was also division, like the Zezuru and the Karangas. So I wouldn't just want to say, oh, it was just between Shonas and Develes. And whichever way, we know that tribalism is not a good thing. It affects progress. And because of that, we realized that the people that were put in the positions were people that were trusted by particular individuals, you know and that also caused a fear, and they never trusted each other. Yes, fast forward, we know about the things that happened when it came to uh, trying to bring together the two parties from Matabeleland and also Mashonaland, which was the Zapu. And there was this fear of the Soviet military support from Russia, um, that was still supporting, a ZAPU that was supported by Nkomo. And I think that's the one that caused, the opposition party, like ZANU PF as well, which is called ZANU PF, to start, contacting, North Korea. That was in around 1981. And then they formed, this military group, which was called Fifth Brigade, and that's when you know uh, the issue of killing people in Matabeleland started. They killed more than 20,000. That was most notable, and the whole world knew about it and stuff, and it caused a lot of issues like tribalism and stuff, and the things that you mentioned, with regards to employment, and also deploying people that were not, from Matabeleland, could go and take, jobs and stuff. But then at the end of the day, anyways, we know that, these things will never, help us to move forward. It's been more than 40 years, honestly, and nothing, there hasn't been any meaningful progress in other communities. So what we're stronger together, whether you're Shona or Ndebele, we are, the same. We just need to learn from these things and try to to resolve them. I think that's the point that you're trying to drive home. Well,
You
if
still
you
have
got,
time?
yeah, yeah, just we've got any other thing to say before we.
Yeah. Just I think that just to conscientize ourselves, to realize that tribalism itself, like it's mentioned as a pattern of it's to do with attitudes and behaviors that we as a people tend to adopt when we come to identify ourselves with a particular tribe. So in certain situations, the magnitude of our differences as groups of people, sometimes we can, the magnitude is not that much, such that we can tolerate each other. I could take, for example, people who can support different football teams, and they can be able to laugh about it.
Hmm.
But I think it becomes so serious when we really take our differences to the extremes, such that it even gets down to hatred. And that's why we end up having things like violence and things like that. So at the end of the day, I think factoring my beliefs, my faith. I think it's an issue of realizing that we are all human beings.
Hmm.
Having that principle of Ubuntu, as it is
Yeah.
said. Uh, to know that we are brothers and sisters. The Bible talks about love your neighbor as you love yourself.
Mm, mm,
We
mm,
all
mm,
know whatever
mm.
our difference is, that we're all created by God, and that
Mm-hmm.
God has love for each one of us.
Okay.
So
I
that
get it.
love that He bestows to each one of us, we should
Mm-hmm.
also spread it to each other, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can, I believe in this world that God has given us so many resources,
Mm-hmm.
enough for poverty not to even exist, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And just in finishing, I think I was listening one time to this professor from Kenya. I think many of us know him, Professor Pielo Lumumba. He was quoting something that Mahatma Gandhi said when was in prison, to say that the the main purpose of us, of us calling ourselves successful, is when we always endeavor to improve the quality of life of another, you
Mm-hmm.
know. I
Mm-hmm.
think from what you were talking about, the part of the vision of House of Africa is to make sure that we alleviate, we improve the qualities of our communities, so, which is
Mm-hmm.
also my passion. But obviously, uh, talk is just cheap. So I think, to be honest enough, I think finances also are a necessity, if everything that we're talking about is going to be a
Yeah, that we need to
success. Yeah.
start things like income generating projects so we can, realize, our dreams and what we want to do, making a change in the communities. Yep. But that does make sense. Um, so yes, we've got Gabriel Kwai. We've got Gabriel Kwai. Gabriel Kwai, do you want to switch on your mic, sir? You want to switch on your mic? Gabriel Kwai is based in the Netherlands, born in Ghana, and he graduated in Huddersfield as a fashion designer. He's a pastor, stroke evangelist, um, SDA denomination, and he believes in philanthropy. So we've done a lot of things at Evergreen Partnership Association. So we are members of Evergreen Partnership Association. We started, long back, and she's got the
You can
Evergreen
see
T-shirt
the t-shirt.
over
Yes. Yeah.
there. We started long back, and with our colleague Simon North, who's based in York, um, England. So we've done a lot of things. I mean, helping local communities in the UK and also outside the country, like in Morocco, helping to build schools, and then Ghana also helping to build schools. Zambia helping the young people, especially young ladies that you know could not go to school, and they end up getting married at a young age. So we were trying to encourage local communities over there to you know to encourage these young people to gain like a decent education rather than just getting married early at a young age. So we've done a lot. Even in Zimbabwe with a team called Highlanders, we bought some equipment for these football players. Um, so yeah, over to you. Over to
All
you.
right, Mr. K, thank you very much for your introduction. And thank you very much, Brother Stanley, for the wonderful things, for the wonderful start. I mean, what you guys have been doing is very great. What you guys so far have shared concerning the idea of tribalism is really remarkable. I believe such topics are needed nowadays for us to talk about, for us to reminisce around and make these changes, because one of the things that I believe strongly with all my heart is that we are all agents of change. And so
Mm.
when we find ourselves in certain circumstances where we are not at ease with it, the pain and the emotions that we go through, it is what God uses to empower us to say, hey, because you experience pain and trials through this situation, ensure that the ones following you can at least come through that light and walk with ease. and will not experience the same hardship that you experience. And so I thank you guys, and also thank the team from House of Africa that have thought of starting up this project where we can all come in and share our views and share our passion and try and educate each other, because that is what it's about. Education, educating each other so that we can grow forward, because that is what God has ushered us to do. Now, today we're dealing with tribalism. Yes, as you mentioned, I am a native from Ghana. I was born in Ghana, grew up in Holland, and grew up partly also in England. So I've kind of got my roots rooted in everywhere. But I always say that my major roots is rooted in God. So while I'm speaking, I would be bringing a little bit of my belief as a Christian and what God has ushered upon my heart. I will be introducing that, or I will be mentioning a few things, because I believe the basis of humanity is, if we are to understand that our roots are deep in and fasting on God, it will shape in the way we think and behave in all manner of things. And the reason why I say that is, Ghana is a place where we have about 9 major tribes. But underneath the 9 major tribes, there are over 100 ethnic groups. And so we are thinking about a vast majority of groups who think alike, whose culture is similar, has got similarities overlapping each other. And all these strains are all encompassed around in this country called Ghana. And it's similar to the different countries in Africa that we see different ethnic groups that come together. And I think the idea of tribalism, if we really think about it very well from the onset, is that when a group of people who think alike, have got the same similarity in terms of culture, decide, hey guys, let's come together and empower each other and build each other up. That is actually the starting point, the starting idea. But the thing is, in building with each other, the idea, if we go a little bit back and look at how God wants us to operate, even if when we come together to build, we are not just building for just the core group, but we are building for everybody to make use of what we have built. Now, the reason why I say this is based upon the very thing that is said to us, that in Genesis chapter 1 verse 27, where it is ushered unto us that God created man in his image. He created them female and male. So we see there that the image of God is fashioned in all. There is a link, there is a direct root rooted from man to God. So our basis is the same. We all come from that God tribe. That is the basis. Our main tribe is God. Now, the idea, when you go forward to 28, Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, we see that God blesses us because we come from the same tribe. God ushers his blessing upon man. And then God gives man the mandate to carry on creation. He says, go forth and multiply and have dominion over the earth. Now, when you really look into that well and study, just for me to sum everything up, what God is saying, most of the time we say go forth and multiply, and we just refer it to having children. But that is not only. Birthing a child is remarkable, but what God is actually telling us is we should birth new creation into this world. So it's not just about bearing children, but it's about burning situations that will help elevate our society to a different realm. It is about bearing new businesses, new schools, new ways of thinking. It's about bearing something, multiplying and adding to what God already started, the creation that God already started. And so that is what God has already placed in us. That is the blessing that God has given to us. And so if myself and another person come together and we are like-minded, we have the same similarities of thinking, the same food, we like the same food. Yes, we form a subunit, an ethnic group, but our main mandate, what God is ushering us to do with that similarity, is to come together, empower each other, and build something that the rest of humanity can really enjoy from. But you see, because man has a corrupt heart, that idea that God started that is supposed to bring unity, we've now used it to empower ourselves to divide each other. Because what we are saying is, because me and Kaiser comes from the Shona or the Dibela or from whatever tribe, we say, hey, because we came up with this, we need to rule. Because we came up with this, we need to have the first bite. We have to take the first steps. Every person has to bow underneath us. And gradually we have come up with this idea and started even using it even among ourselves within the same tribe to empower ourselves and our families and ignore the rest of the families, even in the same ethnic tribes, which is something that we really need to think about, because individualism has been the order of the day that has reshaped the core identity that God gave to humanity. But I'm glad that we have these platforms that we are talking about such things, because you see, gradually, based on the experiences that we've heard people have had, or we've seen people having, or we have experienced ourselves, based on that, we have elevated justifications as to why it is okay for us to separate ourselves from other people. What am I talking about? Let me share this story with you to explain the whole what I've been talking about this far. Well, it was time for my cousin to get married, and we are originally Buno. Well, our ethnic group is Buno. We are under the Akan tribe, and the lady that he brought in was an Ewe, which is another tribe from they have their origin from Togo or Togoland, and they migrated. There's a whole story to that. But let's say the lady's from another place. Now he brought the lady home and showed the lady to my uncle, and my uncle was okay with the whole situation till he mentioned that, hey, this lady is an Ewe. Now my uncle's face changed. And the reason why his face changed was he once was moved. He used to work for a bank, and then he was moved to that area where the tribe is the majority, where they are, the Ewes, to the Volta region of Ghana, and he was supposed to be the head. Now, he had a really bad experience, because imagine coming from somewhere, coming there as the area boss of the people. Already you don't understand the tribe very well. You don't understand certain aspects of them. So the way you might behave, they might be offended by it. And so instead of us to humble ourselves and listen and try to learn from each other, there was a lot of altercation between him and the people. And so he came back with an experience that was very foul. And so based on that experience, he told himself, there is no way I'm going to allow my lineage or anybody within my ethnicity or my ethnic tribe to be related to these people. And so now his son is sat there with a lady from that place, and his experience is the one playing in his mind. And now what he is now ushering onto his son is this: my experience needs to be your experience. It doesn't matter that you know this lady. It doesn't matter that you've built a foundation with this lady. It doesn't matter that we are talking about love. It doesn't matter that you guys think and can create something wonderful. It doesn't matter that you work good together. My experience needs to be your experience. And because we have built, because we have built our culture as a culture of respect, now he is stuck in a trauma, like in a process whereby he's like thinking, oh, hold on, I thought everything was okay. Because his experience isn't what his dad has experienced. His experience isn't that of that. His experience is, I went to school with this lady. We had a conversation. We have built years of trust with each other. And so as far as he is concerned, he's getting hooked up with this lady, not with the whole tribe. But as far as his dad is concerned, you are hooking up with the whole tribe. You see, so there's quite a lot of influences that come, and a lot of things that tribalism is leading us, a lot of negativity that it is leading us to. And if I may end on this thing, I believe strongly that tribalism is the basis of the racism that we as Black people have been experiencing out here in the West.
Mm-hmm.
The way we as Black people treat each other in our local country or in our origin place of origin
Mm-hmm.
has been the basis of how we are treated and the experiences that we are having here. What is Gabriel talking about? Let me break it down this way. Now, there is no way an American will come from America, step his foot in Ghana, hit somebody, and say that he is an American, and people will retaliate. Not even the police or our government will dare do anything. Why? Because they know that an American, it doesn't matter who he is, whether the guy
Yeah.
is crazy,
Yes.
whether the
Yes.
guy is, it doesn't matter who,
Mm-hmm.
so long he holds an American passport, they
Passport.
will come for their guy.
Mm-hmm.
They will come and defend him. But how many of us can truly say that our government, our own chiefs and kings, our own parents, our own friends and family has got our back that way? No, it's not
Yeah.
like that. Look at the way we are treating each other. Look at the way that like people condemn each other. The words we speak about different countries. We say Nigerians are 419. We say these people are lazy. We say we've got all kind of manner of things that we say that have an influence. Now remember, when God ushered unto us to go forth and multiply, He has given us into our hands the power to create positivity and negative vibe. And so if we usher onto ourselves the negativity of this world, why are we so surprised that all that is being built or all that is shaping coming towards us is this very thing? Now, how can they shoot somebody and we are demonstrating in the whole world and everybody's acting like, well, let them demonstrate? You know, because the way we treat each other, the way we've allowed tribalism and other isms to shape our continent, to shape our society, has been the basis withdrawing us and pulling us away. I'm gonna keep
Yes.
quiet for now.
Yeah, we'll come back to you, Gabriel. I think that's the reason why we bringing these, topics on the platform, so we can discuss about these things and, do something about it and bring a solution, that will help us move forward as a people in the world, because we know tribalism, does not add value into our lives. And if we don't talk about these things, who is going to talk about these things? You also touch the Bible, and when you go back to Genesis, you see that there was darkness, and God later on created light, and He said, "Let there be light," and the darkness could comprehend, and the light and the darkness could not comprehend the light. So we are talking about these things to bring solutions, and we know that these solutions will bring something that will help us move forward as a world. So that's the reason why we're discussing these things, and we'll come back to you. Let's Ifana, do you wanna switch on your mic? Are you there? And also, we want to see your beautiful face all the way from Cameroon. Um, Ifana, I met this beautiful lady when I visited Nigeria early in the year in January before the lockdown. Ifana, she's a people person. Um, she's done a lot of public speaking, event organizer, and also to top it off, she's an evangelist and an advocate for women empowerment groups. And there's this also diary that she's been talking about, and especially particularly for women. It's called Every Woman Diary. She will ask her about this book, and she'll talk about it. Um, you know, she's one of the youth leaders advocating for a prosperous Africa. She's been talking a lot about Cameroon, and when I was in Nigeria, she was talking about this French and English war that is going on in Nigeria. We would like to hear. I mean, in Cameroon, so so to speak. So we'd like to hear from her. With regards to tribalism in Cameroon, and also beyond the borders. What has been your experience? Over to you, Ifana.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kais. It's a pleasure to meet everybody in the house of panelists, Stanley and Gabriel. Hello, Stanley.
Hello, thank
Hello,
you.
Gabriel. Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Okay. Many people have this belief, like I've traveled to many African countries, especially English-speaking African countries, like I was in Ghana, and you will hear Ghanaian ask me like, "How are you you're a Cameroonian? How is it possible?" To Kenya, I mean to say, like a Kenyan ask me, "You're a Cameroonian. How do you speak English?" Because they have this belief that Cameroon is a French country. Everybody just
Mm-hmm.
believes that Cameroon is a French country, like we speak just French.
Bonjour.
Mm.
Cameroon is a bilingual country. Cameroon is an English and a French country, but the French part of Cameroon is more dominating than the English part of Cameroon. So, like us English speakers, we are like a minority in Cameroon. And for the past, I think it started in 2007. It started in
Mm-hmm.
2007. So I'm sure for the past years now, there's been an ongoing war in Cameroon between the English speaking, no, not the English speaking, some English speaking Cameroonians who are like separatists who think they want to separate from the French speaking Cameroon. So the war is because a lot of people think it's between English speaking Cameroonians and French speaking Cameroonians. No, it's between some separatists, some English speaking Cameroonians and the government, like they want to separate. Now let's go back to what we're talking about, discrimination and tribalism. There's a lot of discrimination in Cameroon here, especially when it comes to English and French. The French people have this mentality like they are superior than the
Mm-hmm.
than the English people. So they get because majority of the people in the government are French speaking. We have 10 regions in Cameroon. English speaking has just
Mm-hmm.
2 regions, and French speaking has the remaining 8 regions. So that's some of the issues that we have. That's like, so there's this discrimination between the English and the French. And now it doesn't end that way because even amongst the French, there is a people from the center and from the East region who are those who are like, their people are in power. They also think like they're the superior Cameroonians,
Mm-hmm. Go on.
And then back with the English Cameroonians, we have the people from the northwest and the people from the southwest. And the people from the southwest have this thing that they feel they are a little superior than those from the northwest. So this issue of tribalism and discrimination is so prominent in Cameroon, like it's so prominent. There are places you enter in Cameroon and you speak English and they look at you like, okay, so what are you saying? And they'll be like, vous les anglophones, like you these anglophones, what do you want? So you, in the long run, you feel like, okay, I'm in a country that I think is my country, but I don't belong in that country. We tend to relate more with Nigerians than we relate with the French-speaking Cameroonians because they look at us like, no,
Because you speak
these
English.
are not, we're not, yeah, because we speak English. We claim this brotherly thing, but it's not there. We claim to be united, but it's a unity by name. Like Anglophones, we are really highly discriminated. There are jobs that you really can't get just because you're an Anglophone. It's rather unfortunate. But despite this, we still intermarry. Anglophones still intermarry with Francophones, but even so, there's still a shaking somewhere. There's still a shaking somewhere. So that's what we face here.
So sad.
So it looks like we you know as Africans we are facing similar situations
Yeah, sure.
when it comes to things like tribalism. Yes, they are sort of like in different forms, but the result is the same. And I believe that we have to maybe do something about it, come up with solution and resolve it. And it hasn't been productive. Like you are saying that when it comes to employment and stuff and all, like you guys were not given a chance like the other, people. And again,
Yeah.
what has it uh, been has it have they realized any good progress with regards to that, these francophone people? The
There's been a lot
country.
of, like, I don't understand. Like, are you asking if the government has realized any good
Yeah, any
progress,
good
or
progress? Yeah, has it been? Yeah, as a country, because this
a
is
lot
like
of progress?
ruling.
A lot of progress on paper. They have lots of progress on paper. Because of that, they had to do a bilingualism commission. Like, it's like a ministry. It's like a ministry of bilingualism. I can put it that way. But still, nothing is happening. They said they have to give the English-speaking Cameroonians a special status. There are a lot of things that have been said on paper, but in reality, it is not
Nothing,
practical.
Mm.
Nothing.
nothing,
Yeah,
nothing has happened.
the discrimination is still evident. And there's something that Gabriel said, which I agree with him like 100%. He said the the racism we face out of Africa is because, like Africans, we are not united.
Mm.
Mhm.
Like Africans, we don't give ourselves the value that and we expect other people to give us that value, which
Mhm.
is not possible.
Mm.
Mhm.
Because the truth is that there are times you will get to a country, for example, let me say I'm stranded in the US, or I'm stranded let me put, for example, maybe in Egypt or any country, and I get to call my embassy. Maybe the first thing they will ask is, if my ambassador is from a particular place, let me say if my ambassador is an Anglophone, the first thing he will want to know is if I'm English speaking or I'm French speaking. If
Mm.
now I'm English speaking and he's English speaking, he's going to be nice at me. You
Yes.
understand? So the thing is, I think it's us Africans, because it is still us Africans that call. I'm shocked because I see we are the highest people that mock at ourselves and call ourselves monkeys. So what Gabriel said is so true. We are the
Mm.
source of our racism.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Mm.
agree that with Gabriel. Like,
Mm.
Don't
Mm.
value ourselves, yeah.
we
Mm.
don't.
Enough.
And I think the other thing that Gabriel kind of highlighted as well is our elders as well. They are set in their old ways. They don't want to move, move with the world. I mean, the world is now like a global village. Anything that affects, any part of the world in one way or another, it will affect everyone else, just like this COVID-19. And this has taught us that we need to work together to be stronger together and move forward and share our, issues and problems and stuff. So he was talking about this, you know, um, the tribes, when I grew up, we're told that people shouldn't marry the other tribe, like Shon and Devele. Even today, there are people that are against that. But we know we're human beings. Tribalism is just, it doesn't add value. We can intermarry or whatsoever. So that's one thing that he highlighted. So they
Yeah,
haven't moved with the times. The young generation has moved on. Um, like he said as well, he spoke about, America, that if we've got a passport, American passport, you are in any part of the world. If anything happens to you, America will come for you. They will be saying, this person is ours.
yeah,
Mm.
This,
Yeah.
where is the no? It's coming, and they'll be saying this person is in, this ours. For example,
mhm,
even England. I mean, we live in England. What I've experienced as well is that, they are Londoners. There are people from Manchester, people from Liverpool, and all these other parts of England. You know, Londoners are proud to be Londoners. Mancunians they're also proud to be Mancunians, and people from Liverpool are proud to be, Scousers and stuff. But the wealth is distributed evenly in these communities and stuff, so they get their share. So even us as black people in our communities, whether I'm Yoruba, whether I'm Francophone or whatever, I'm speaking English in in Cameroon, if we can, you know, distribute our resources equally and forget about tribalism, our communities will move forward. So these are the, some of the
That's
solutions that we have to try and bring on the table. Yeah. So now, yes, Stanley, what are the solutions that you
Uh,
think that we can bring?
I think, like I mentioned earlier on, really, it's talking from a my own beliefs, and Gabriel touched on it as well. For me, from a Christian background, is to understand that we are all one. We are all human beings. We are all equal before God, and that we are commanded, we are admonished that we love one another. We are commanded that you love your neighbor as you do yourself. So I'm just thinking it's a sad situation, like what Ifana is talking about, what we are all talking about, this issue of tribalism, because it it suppresses your neighbor. It's one person suppressing their neighbor, whether in terms of employment or development in people's communities. It's sad. So what I would like what I would like to happen to me is also what I should also wish for the next person. So we are saying it starts with each one of us, because communities or tribes are made up of individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So as individuals, so this platform, part of what we are doing now is educating ourselves, conscientizing even those who will hear this talk show, so that people learn, and we, like Gabriel was talking about, we are agents of change. So
Mm-hmm.
so we in our own little ways, we have to influence positively the next person, so that the next person influences the next person. So it's like a pebble effect. You throw a stone in a pond, you see how the way the ripples go outward. So this is what we want to do, from myself as an individual, from yourself as an individual, with that positive mindset. That is how we are. It will be a process. It's not something that will happen instantly. It's
Yeah.
a process. So when I affect you then tomorrow affect the next person, the next person affects the next. So
Mm-hmm.
let's keep on, let's do our part, and
Mm-hmm.
we conscientize those around us to do the same, and
Mm.
eventually I think we'll get somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mm,
yeah, you mentioned that it's not a one day thing. It's a process, and we know that maybe the people that instigated it, they wouldn't let go just like that,
mm,
because they are used to it and they've benefited from it in one way or another. But when we're looking at a bigger picture, it hasn't improved our communities, and we know that in other parts of the world they've
mm,
tried to move away from it. Like we spoke about England, we also spoke about America. Yes, they've got differences here and there, but when it comes to distributing resources, they distribute resources to every community, and
mm,
their communities are thriving because of that. When it comes to employment, they don't look at where you come from. It's about your qualifications, um,
mm,
and that has moved, the world, forward, or these countries forward. Because of that, they don't consider, tribalism. And the
mm,
other thing that we can also, highlight is that, you know, um, Africans who come from different, uh, regions,
mhm,
you know when it comes to tribe and stuff, they move to greener to move to the western world or America and stuff. You know, with their qualifications, they get their jobs and they do more. Whether you're, francophone, whether you're English, whether you're Yoruba, you know, so they've contributed more in other communities. So I think as black people, we should also learn from that, tribalism will never help us. And Africa is a rich continent. We've got more than enough resources. I mean, a country like Gabriel, where he comes from, Ghana, and Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, these are countries that produce coca beans. And coca beans is like, you know uh, it's $100 billion industry in the world, and we only get something like 2 billion of turnover in Africa. It's because we are not collaborating, as Africans. And things like tribalism, they are part of it, and we have to resolve them. They don't work. And we've realized that in Europe they don't do that, and they are prosperous. So yes, we need to talk about these things and come up with solutions that can help us move forward, especially as a young people.
Mm. And if you realize, I think we're at a time, we're living at a time when there's a renaissance, like, or a waking up among the African people.
Mm.
Even if you see the wave that is taking place here in the West, many people, maybe I think, if you see people like the YouTube, is it Adomayo or something, his name, the guy from Ghana,
Oh,
trying,
admire.
yeah, trying to put Africa on the map. There are so many people doing that, and you see, there are many black people who are in the States, in Europe, all over, who are going back to Africa, realizing that,
Mhm.
what, we have to take charge of our resources,
Mhm.
and make use of it. And I think the more we continue talking about it, and finding solutions and implementing, so it's not only about talking, it's about action. So implementing these things bit by bit, I'm sure we will get there. And as we continue to conscientize each other,
Mhm.
even the young ones that are growing up, they need that education very
Yeah.
quick.
Mhm. Let's hear what Ifana has for us with regards to solutions. What should we do, since now we know that tribalism doesn't help us as Africans? um what can we do to move away from it, to unfreeze all those old behaviors of that are being practiced by our elders or our leaders and stuff? Because they instigated it, they promoted it, and we know it doesn't work, and we need to work on that foundation and just you know um, do something that will turn all those negative things into a positive. Over to you, Ifana. Let's unmute you.
Unmute, yeah. Good.
Unmute yourself. Yeah.
Mm.
There's something I like to say quite often, which is lay the foundation stone for today to build a better tomorrow. And whenever I say that, I want to talk about the children. I think the first thing, because for us, our generation, it's a little complicated, but we can. But the first thing is we should instill those values in our children. We should let
That's
our children know
what
that
Jewish
they
people did. Yeah. Go
yes,
on.
that this is one big Africa. You're an African. You are beautiful. Your color is beautiful. You're
Mhm.
African. You are English speaking. There's nothing like English speaking or French speaking. You are a Cameroonian. This is your country. Do the
Mhm.
best for this country. You
Mm.
understand? We should
Mm-hmm.
instill this thing in the children, first of all. And second of all, for us who are already big, one of the things we should do is, now that we know, we should spread the word.
Mm.
Now that
Mm-hmm.
we know, we should spread the word. I'm glad that we have a platform like this that we can spread the word. And I really wish that more Africans can join this platform and spread the word. So now that we know, let us spread the word. Let us
Mm.
share the love. Let us make everybody know that this is, you are my brother, you are my sister. So I make sure that I treat my French brother the way I want my French brother to treat me, not caring because he's French and I'm English speaking. We are all Cameroonians. And talking about children, because I have a project that I think, like it's often said in Africa, that a bended tree can never be straightened. There are some values that will be difficult to put in us at this our age. So I love working with children. For me, I believe that the children are the generation.
Yes,
and we can do some of those things by getting it into schools. Have you ever noticed? It's not like I know there are Nigerians on the panel and they will agree with me. Have you ever noticed that Nigerians are one of the most patriotic Africans? Like Nigerians love their country.
Queen
and one of the reasons
you're still trying to join us in join us. Yeah, go on.
yeah,
Go on.
and one of the reasons that Nigerians love their country is because this love is taught from when they are small. They have this pledge when they are in primary. You start saying your pledge in primary school. I pledge to my country, Nigeria, to love and to support. You know, these are things that unconsciously it remains in the mind of the child. As you grow up, you keep remembering, like, okay, I have done this pledge. This is my country. This is my pride. So maybe in some of the things we do, even in our studies, even in school, we should learn to teach the children about Africa, about their country, and make them to love it. Maybe we should keep away some of the who discovered the sea road to India, the first American. We should keep it aside and teach our children Africa and teach them that, okay, we can do pledges that make, like, for example, in my country, if I was to suggest, I would suggest that they should have a pledge that says, I am French speaking, but I am a Cameroonian. I am English speaking, I am a Cameroonian. You understand? Unfortunately, there are anthems, there are national anthems in Africa that if you listen to it, believe you me, you never know what they're saying. You need a dictionary to understand the anthem of your country. My country is an example. I need a dictionary anytime I have to understand the anthem of my country. And it is something I sing every day. I started singing from childhood. But if this anthem was broken in such a way that the language was simple, the things said in the anthem were simple things that I could understand. As I grow up, unconsciously, it will remain at the back of my mind. You understand? So I think to cut the long story short, let us put these values into our children. Let us lay the foundation for them in every little thing they do, the games they play, the way they talk, everything they do. Because America will always give their children Captain America, who is a hero. So they know that it's always America that saves. So we should also give our children Sumanguru, who is a hero. That it's only Sumanguru that can save, you know. And
They say Africa is a jungle.
No, it's not a jungle, please.
Yeah. Over to you, Gabriel. Let's hear what Gabriel has. Solutions. You know,
Man, I'm just loving what you guys are saying. I'm loving what my sister is saying, because when she started mentioning, I was thinking about Sundiata. I don't know if you read the book Things Fall Apart. You know,
yeah, things fall apart. Yeah,
exactly. You know, these are the books that we have to have. I mean, think about it. How many libraries do we? How many functioning? Let me say it that way. Functioning libraries do we have in the whole of Africa? Even if I made dare to say, you know, it wouldn't even amount to the amount of liquor stores that we have. And so the first point that we have, the first point is we need to have an honest conversation with ourselves as Africans. You know, it is hard to look into the mirror and to see the filth that we've encompassed around ourselves. But we need to be honest enough with ourselves and look in the mirror and say, hey, we are dirty enough. Let's start to wash away some of the filth. Then it falls down to what you guys have been saying about education. Now, we need to tackle the education on two fronts. The first is what our dear sister was talking about. Like, we need to work with our young people, the next generation that are in studying, even the generation that are still studying at the university or wherever. We need to have those conversations, those patriotic conversation with them. Like, how are we going to better ourselves as Ghanaians? And secondly, we need to know that there's one of the problems we have as Africans is the illiteracy rate. There are a lot of people that we have in Africa who, even though they've been to school, they went to school because they had to go to school. but their natural giving talent was for them to maybe they had a passion to work on a farm, and there's nothing wrong with that. They had a passion to do something with their hands, and so they did. The formal education system isn't something that is working for them, and so it is about time that we speak to them on both grounds. So we speak to the so-called educated elite, and then we speak on the same level front as those with the illiteracy problem, and explain to them their experience. I mean, have them share their experiences, and we share the experience, and together we bind ourselves to a future that we want to have for ourselves and also for our children, and gradually work from that. And you know, there's an old Ashanti proverb that says, if you forget the trumpet of your king, you will get lost during the festival. And so it is about time that we look back as Africans and look at our history. Be honest with ourselves, with our history. Let's look at both the bad side of the history and the good side. You know, most times we like to twist the history a little bit around and make it look good, like make one side look good and make the other side. No. Let's be honest with ourselves and say, hey, at this point in time, we as a group of people, we as a one ethnic group, we made a bad decision. And this is what happened. And we don't want to visit that no more. Indeed, the world is not perfect, and we shall never achieve perfection, but we can achieve goodness. That is the difference. We are not looking for perfection, but we are looking for goodness. You know, perfection, we can only have that through God. But God has ushered unto us for us to have goodness. And so we need to have these honest conversations, and we need to have these education on both grounds and revisit our history. Let's be proud enough to share the history. Nowadays, look at it. If somebody, an African, is able to speak English or is able to speak a foreign Western language, they feel they have the right to recite above the rest of his or her people. For example, in Ghana, if a child speaks vernacular or speaks the local language, that child is looked at as being a bush child, or a child who has no regard for elitism. That child is not is properly shaped, you know. But when the child is able to speak the foreign language, that child is praised. Wow, look at that child. He's speaking like an Englishman. He's dressed like an Englishman. But when somebody wears a local clothes, they're being called bush. And one thing that we need to also consider is visually, we need to reshape the programs we watch on our television stations. How many foreign programs do we show? We are showing the telenovelas. We are showing all these things. But you see, how can we not invest in our own people for them to come up with things that will appeal to our people? I mean, even if you visit countries like now, like when I went to Ghana, early in the morning they are showing cartoons from England. And so I've got my cousins growing up knowing about Tom and Jerry and not knowing about Anansi the spider. You see? So they are growing up with a different culture, even though, and so gradually what they are seeing is educating them to think differently and to think less of themselves, because everything that they are seeing is giving them a particular information. And I'm so glad, and I want to mention is that I read that Netflix has given this young Ghanaian guy who started in his room during this pandemic, started learning how to come up with how to draw cartoons and do animation online. And gradually Netflix has tapped into that and has told him, listen, guy, we need you to focus and build just a cartoon based on the African culture on its own. Look at the different cultures spread across Africa and do the cartoons within the context of that. And we will pay you for everyone you do. Look at what Netflix has done in Nigeria. Nigerians have been able to pull the strings and allow Netflix to allow them to have, like, you be showing their films and their movies. But then on the other side is, if you look at the movies, what are they showcasing? They are showcasing the Western style, you know, the big cars. They're big houses. And yeah,
mm,
once in a while, when they show us in mad houses, what do we see? We are wearing panties. It's like we are back in the dark ages. And so
mm, mm, mm.
I'm just, it's like they go from one extreme to the other. And so
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
question is, guys, where do we find the reality? And I'm honestly apologizing to, and I'm not speaking against all these friends of ours, and I'm saying friends of mine. I'm emphasizing on the word friends of
Mm,
ours who come into Africa and show the beauty that is coming out in Africa now. But you
mm,
see, showing that we have been westernized, it's not something that I can really jump on board. Yes, I love
Yeah.
it that we are showing that Africa is developing, but it's
mhm,
good that we also show the parts that we
mm.
are less fortunate to be
Yeah.
experiencing, so that we can have both sides of the truth. There's no need to
Mm, mm,
cover the
mm, mm.
wound and act
Yeah.
like the wound does not exist. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still gonna cause the pain. And so we need to
Mm,
deal with both sides of the coin and say, hey, even
yeah.
though there are struggles, there are people that have come that have opened
Mhm,
doors. And so you can achieve that regardless of not being educated. You
mhm.
can achieve that regardless of the hardship that we are experiencing. And gradually
Yeah.
we'll be able to build with each other. So we
Mm,
need that education to change our mindset and know that, hey, even
mhm,
if I am a Ghanaian and I meet somebody from Zimbabwe, somebody from South Africa, somebody from
mhm,
any other place, so long that person shares the same qualities and the same ambitions with myself, it is
mhm,
quite okay for me and that person to hook
mhm,
up. Even if
mhm.
not that, and I meet a friend of mine, a person who looks like me, talks like me, walks like me, has the same vision for life, want to live and experience the goodness that God has want us to experience. Let me
Yeah.
help that brother to achieve that. That person does not need to be from my tribe. It doesn't need to
Mhm,
be from my ethnicity.
Mm.
Because you see, one of the things that happen while we are dealing with tribalism is that we tend to overlook talented people who do not specifically come from where we come from.
mm, mm,
You know, there are
mm.
people that God has blessed them with such greatness that they are able to be great mechanics. They are great engineers, great doctors, but we will shove them aside and put our own people that cannot deal with the situation and put them there
Mm.
because, yes, they are Ashanti, they are from Ghana, they are Bono, they are Debele, they are Shona, and we will do all we can to put them there, but they
Mm.
are incapable because what God is saying is,
Mm.
I haven't given all the knowledge to Shaunas. I haven't given all the knowledge to developers. I've given it to everyone so that you can work together and
Together.
achieve
Yes. Yes.
goodness.
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
we need these things. We really need this education to go on both platforms. Those
Yeah.
basics and those
Mhm,
are also higher because sometimes
mhm,
I look at some of the things that people discuss with each other on 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 uh, on on social media and all that. And the whole context is how to westernize ourselves rather than
mm,
for us to live within the context of what God has given to us, within the mindset, the way of
mm,
working that God has given to us.
mm,
Because there's
mm.
a way, there's a reason why our country still is standing. It
Yeah.
means that
Yeah.
there are certain
Mm,
basics that we do that are
mm.
working, but we
Yeah.
need to recognize and project those things.
Yes. Yeah. What it is, I mean, it's good to learn, from, other people in different parts of the world, but we
Mm,
have to be proud of who we are or where we come from as Africans.
very
For
much.
example, you look at the Asian countries like China, they brought their people or their young people, to the Western world. They come and get degrees, just learn one or two things that will add value to their communities. And they take it to their
Yes.
communities and make it theirs. And they still speak their language, Mandarin and stuff. And so we need to do the same thing. Yes, let's go and learn, travel, but not lose. Not we shouldn't lose our identity. We should be proud of who we are, or we can learn one or two things that can add value to maybe our identity, but still, you know, maintain that African, you know, uh, culture,
African. Mm.
you know, that can help us, progress or put Africa on a map and and not pretend to be something else, like what we are saying, that we want to act like we're from the Western world or Westernized and stuff, and it's we're all equal, we're all the same. So I think that's the thing that we need to learn. And talking of this thing, that we're not supporting each other as brothers, when it comes to African countries and stuff. And there's the issue of xenophobia in South Africa. I don't know what you guys
Mm,
your
mm,
thoughts. I don't know what I thoughts. The people that were suffering were Africans, and and
yeah,
and
yeah,
but
yeah.
foreigners, like coming from the Asian countries, like China and all these other countries, they were not suffering a lot.
No, no,
What's your take?
I,
What's your take?
I think that point, it goes back to what Gabriel was talking about. That racism, tribalism is the basis of racism. You
Mm,
know,
mm,
mm,
because when you see such things like xenophobia in South Africa, okay, an African brother, on another African brother's neck, but these other guys, like the Asian people, we don't touch them. But
mm,
so if
no.
we don't have respect for ourselves, then why do we expect a respect from the Caucasian people? So yeah.
It's crazy.
mhm.
You know
And then for them
what,
to respect us, we have to also respect
Respect ourselves.
ourselves.
And
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Mm,
no, it's very true what you guys are saying. Like I'll give you a scenario. You see, my
mm,
lady shared with me that she went to Ghana at some not long ago, and
mhm,
while at a bank there was a sign at the bank saying nobody should use a telephone while in the bank.
mhm,
Nobody's if you've got a phone call, you go outside, but you're not supposed to use it while in there. And so
mhm,
there are a lot of people there, and they all sat there. Then there was a young man, a foreigner, oh sorry, a young lady that came in, a foreigner that came in,
mhm,
and well, I'm intentionally not mentioning the nationality, but the person is a foreigner. But the
mhm,
person picks up a phone call and is speaking English and directing somebody who's coming to meet him at a bank, and is there while there's a big sign saying do not be on your phone in here.
mm,
But nobody's saying anything. Now there was an old lady there whose phone also rang. And she was like shivering, and she was like, oh, she was seated next to my lady, and she picked up her phone and she's like, oh, she was like apologizing to the staff that her phone
mm,
rang. And the staff were about to like shout at this lady. And one of the things my lady is crazy about when she experiences stuff like that, there's this twist, this turn that goes into her that she just jumped up on them, and they were like, she was like, no, hold on.
mm,
You are ready to jump on this old lady because of what? There is
Color.
a sign saying nobody. So it
mm,
doesn't matter who the person is, whether the person is the president.
mm.
If the rules are rules. And so
Yes.
if the rules of engagement, the person is exempted from the rules of engagement because he's a foreigner, you are
Mm,
basically saying to the person that he holds more rights than the citizens of the country. But
mm,
that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
Everybody should be placed on the same equal pedestal. That yes, we should not supposed to use it, then we are all not using it. So
mm,
if he is using it and nobody's talking, then nobody's going to talk to concern themselves with this lady, you know.
mm,
And they were upset, and this is how we've indoctrinated ourselves. They were upset with her for speaking up.
mm.
And that issue of respect comes in, that how dare you don't have respect for your elders, you don't have but that's why I'm saying we need to have honest conversation with each other. And those
Mhm.
honest conversations are not going to be light. They are not going to
Yes,
make
yes,
us
yes.
feel
It's
at
not gonna
ease.
be. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's going to be very uncomfortable
It will be
because it's going to
uncomfortable.
twist the
Mhm,
foundations that we've built.
mhm,
Because you see,
mhm,
one time I had a conversation with
mhm.
the chief of my mother's village, and I
Yes,
told him, you see, I've gradually lost a little bit of respect for our kings and our chiefs in Africa, because
yes.
as far as what I've read in books, the
Mm,
kings and the chiefs were supposed to be a symbol of authority. protecting all its citizenship.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's like now we've made it just a symbol of showcasing that I have authority, and that's it. There's no protection. There's no serving the people, and
No.
gradually that has simmered up to the level of elite, where the people who are educated feel like, hey, because I am educated, I can and I should, or I have the right to manipulate the rest and have them working for me, so that for the rest of my life and the rest of my family's life, we can rule over them. And so there are a lot of things that we, through our love for ourselves, are ushering onto the table of Africans that shouldn't be on the table. They
Yeah.
should never appear on the menu in the first place, but they are there now, and we are forcing our people to choose between things that they don't recognize. It doesn't sit with them. And whenever they talk about it, we're like, no, this person is being disrespectful, or this person is going against the grain. Yes, sadly, that is how we have to go, because I remember the stories that we were told about when the colonial masters came, and people like Osei Tutu, people like Yas Antua, they stepped up to challenge the order of day. And so it is on to us as young people now to step up and challenge it. Let's look at the story of Nelson Mandela. He stood up and challenged the order of day, said, no, this thing is not happening. But whether you are a white person or you are a black person, we are both going to walk on the same corridors. We are not going to have a white corridor and a black corridor. You know, he stepped up to the grain, challenged. And so this issue of xenophobia is really something that we really need to educate those people in the favelas, if I may call it that, those people in the Nzongos, those people, the places where there's less education, the places where the government hardly thinks about. You see, we talked about Evergreen before, and I think one of the things that kept motivating us to go on is like when we go to places and we see people who are eager to grow, they really have the passion that they want to be elevated from where they are, but there's no means at getting to them. I mean, you guys, you probably you probably remember the video that I sent through about the roads. We, you know, you literally have to have a certain kind of car, and at a certain point, we have to park and walk, because you know you can't get to the place.
Yes.
And the government, you know, and if you really care about your people, and we really want our people to experience the goodness of life. We have gold, we have timber, we have every resources that God has placed in our hands. He has blessed us, and He's saying, go out and multiply. But we have twisted it, and we are not multiplying in positivity. We are not multiplying in goodness. We are rather multiplying just for ourselves and telling our friends, well, you deserve the little that I give to you. You deserve the road that I've just built halfway, you know? And I mean, I shared with you previously of a young guy who, when I went back home, I was having a little bit of fracas with him. I wouldn't say it's a fight, but I was defending myself, because this guy was saying we should praise him because he has been able to build a public toilet. And I was like saying, hello, people paid their taxes to you for that very reason. That is your job. I mean, I shouldn't come and clap my hands for you because you did your job. I mean, why are we supposed to, you know, and even the cost of the toilet is way beyond imagination. And I'm telling you what, it's who is coming to that toilet? The Queen of England, or who? I mean, who is going to use that? How are you going to tell me that you used over $1 million to build such a? I mean, it doesn't make sense. But these are the things where we need to cut against the grain and start being uncomfortable with ourselves. That is why, if at this point in time, for the people that lost their life during the SARS, please, we stand with you. We haven't got any update concerning the things that happened in SARS, but in some ways, I was happy that young people finally spoke up and said, guys, we need to see changes. We need to let people be responsible for what they say, for what they do, because in the past, you know, one of the things that I believe is when our leaders died, when for example, when my granddad died, his mandate for the rest of the family was, you guys have got to take care of the next generation. That is the mandate that our forefathers gave to the next generation. And if the next generation have decided that they are not going to do it, Young people,
Mm-hmm.
let's stand up and demand that from them, because
Mm-hmm.
it is the reason why God gave them, placed them at the places where they ought to be. Not to come up
Mm-hmm.
and give us good speeches, but for us, for them to provide
Mm-hmm.
us the platform for us to grow.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
libraries where we will read our history, the
Mm-hmm.
roads where we'll be able to drive comfortably, and hospitals where we will be able to, every single person, not dependent on your ethnicity or the type of tribe that you are from, but a place
Mm-hmm.
where you can go and bear the health that you need, that God has and taught some
Mm-hmm.
people to help us,
Mm-hmm.
doctors to help
Mm-hmm.
us. You know,
Yeah.
Mm.
we need to really have those conversations.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
In other words, I think the one other things that I picked up is that you're saying there is no success without a successor.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
leaders should yes, secure the future of the people, and also groom leaders that will take
Mm-hmm.
over and continue.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yes.
uh, so that's you know to help people in the communities and stuff, and that's
Yeah.
that's how we should do things. You know,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
uh, as a leader, you cannot tell yourself that you are you know the person that's at the top, and you're the
Mm-hmm.
only one that will help the nation, or will come up with all these decisions that are will
Mm-hmm.
help the communities. You have to understand that you know as a leader also you have to learn also from
Mm-hmm.
people, and also you need to also groom the people that will come after you and continue with that progress. And
Yeah.
I think that is the issue as well that we have in Africa, where leaders, they are reluctant to groom young leaders so they can take over and come up with these creative and innovative ideas to move the world forward. It's a beautiful thing that we're discussing about these things, and trying to find solutions and stuff. I mean, if we won't talk about these things, you know
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
We will not
who
grow.
is you know
Mm.
who is going to
You know,
do
we
that?
just
Yes.
remain where we are.
Mhm.
And even
and,
even
and
talking about grooming, you see,
mhm,
we need to have students that will ask questions to
mm,
the teachers, the ones
yes.
grooming them, because you see, one of the things is the generation before can groom other people to walk the same path that they are walking now.
Mhm,
So it becomes normal for a young person to say, "Hey, I want to be an MP because hey, I know that as soon as I get into government, I'm going to be
mhm,
able to buy that car that I want to buy, build that
mhm,
house out." Because that mentality of when you get there, you'll be able to pull enough resources for yourself.
For yourself.
mm,
So
Yeah.
yes.
the students need to ask questions and tap into the conscience of their teachers,
Mhm,
the leaders grooming us and say, hey, this way that you went about, did it
mm,
just elevate
mm,
you and your family, or did it
yeah.
elevate the rest of us?
Mhm.
You
Mm.
see,
and
and
and and
we need to
yeah.
dare to do that.
Yeah, and you also mentioned that it's not going to be easy, to
No,
implement these things. It's
Mm.
it's you know it will be uncomfortable because the people that are currently ruling at the moment, they are comfortable with the way
yeah,
things are. But we have learned, we have realized, we've traveled across the world. We know what works and what doesn't work, and we know that a change has to
Mm.
happen. You know it.
necessary.
So it's gonna be challenging because they say when a strong man occupies your area, for you to move him, you have to go extra miles and do a lot. And I think
Yeah,
that's another thing that our generation, the young people, they need to understand that it's not going to be easy, but there is always a solution. Like what we spoke about, that there was darkness, and God said,
so
let there be
tapped
light,
into it.
and the darkness could not comprehend that
Mm,
the light. you know
yeah,
Same applies to us as a young generation. We've got innovative and creative ideas. We shouldn't just talk about these things, but we must push and implement them. And
yes, sir.
before you know it, the change will come. The change will come. You look at the institutions in Africa, like AU, and also SADC in Southern Africa and stuff. Those institutions, they are institutions because of the people that are running them. So if those people fear change and they still protect one another because of different reason and stuff, we're not going to realize progress. We know that.
No,
Mm,
no.
Even the judicial law and stuff, when you go to courts and stuff, these people know each other and stuff. So if
Mm,
we keep going to the courts and to try and resolve issues, but it's the same people that are leading these institutions, we're not going to realize change. And that's what we should understand as young people. And this is the
yeah.
reason why we're saying, let's come together. We are stronger together. Let's, build things that will help us to move forward as a people. Things that will, give us a voice. And these
Mm,
are things that will also help us to generate income, do income generating projects, uh, and these incomes, whatever money we're gonna generate, it will help us to also pursue our dreams, be it
mhm,
business or whatsoever you can think of. Any young person that is energetic, that is goal driven, to help in the communities, we spot that talent and
mm,
and give them a platform to express themselves and do more and change our communities for the better. And unfreeze all these old behaviors that we've seen across Africa. Because I mean, today we were discussing, yes, tribalism, it's in different forms, but we realized that you know um, these things bring some problems,
mm.
and we share similar things.
mhm,
Yeah.
So we just have to educate one another. And because young people are lazy, and some of them, some of us, we fear that, oh, these elders are gonna kill us.
Yeah.
They're gonna do A, B, C, D. Obviously, there will be resistance. But
mm,
when we
Mm,
come together, put structures, we'll realize the progress. Like you mentioned, the
mm,
SARS thing that the whole world, was watching what the
mm,
young people tried to do, and they shook, that system and stuff. It's
mm.
in the only thing is that there were not, good structures that were in place to,
Yeah.
help that movement continue until they realized the end result. But I
mm,
believe that people are still communicating about that. It hasn't died down and stuff, and people need to regroup. And also, like as we are talking about, solution that we can bring on the table is to also build structures and systems that will help us to continue working together and supporting one another and empowering one another, uh, to make a meaningful change. I don't know what are your
Yeah.
thoughts, guys. Yeah, so we
No, I
can
mean,
continue. We've left
yeah.
with 10 minutes.
No, I mean what you
Mm,
said is, I think, is the core of it. Building structures, and that causes us to have meaningful conversations with each other and be honest
mhm,
with each other, and not be
mhm.
scared about
Yes.
being honest about the faults that we've had in the past, and be
Hmm.
respectful enough to, whether young or old, and
Oh yes.
realize
Yes.
that we need each other for us to grow, and
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
structures need to also contain being responsible enough uh,
Hmm.
to want to respond to situations. You know,
Hmm.
we live in a society where you are untouchable if you can reach a certain standard in our
Hmm.
society, or a certain standard of our normality, and we shouldn't have that. There
Yes.
should be accountability at all costs, accountability on all grounds. It doesn't matter whether you're rich or poor, so long
Yes.
you go against the rules of engagement that we as a people have agreed upon, then you should face the consequences of it. If we
Hmm.
have these honest conversations with each other, then we will be able to see. Because you see, one of the things that you type upon before was that, you see, how our generation is shaped now is totally different from the generation before, and the
mm,
generation that are coming after us are going to be totally different. I
Different.
mean,
Yeah.
thanks to the goodness of internet now, we
Hmm.
have people back home who have seeing that, oh, hold on, there's a world that exists outside
Mm-hmm.
of my four corners.
Mm-hmm.
And that's has allowed them to dream beyond where they are. And
Mm-hmm.
so they are questioning now things concerning us and saying, hey, can't we develop this to this standard? Can we make this? And knowing that God has blessed us with all the resources that we need to stand
Yeah.
as a strong society, the question
Mm-hmm.
still remains, then why are we still lingering around? Why are we not being effective? And so the
Mm-hmm.
moment that we continue to push this question forward to our the
Mm-hmm.
generation before us, and we keep looking in the mirror to our generation and saying, hey, maybe it's not just the generation before, but what have I done?
Mm-hmm.
You see, it is good for us to just look at the generation before, but it's also reasonable for us to look at ourselves and say, what effect have I brought into the picture? Remember the story that I
To
shared?
change the
Yeah,
situation. Yeah.
exactly. Remember the story that I shared concerning my uncle and his son and the lady, the wife, or I should
Yeah.
say the then fiancée who he wanted to marry. The story of
Mm-hmm.
my uncle was a valid story. His life experience was, I worked with these people, I
Mm-hmm.
experienced hardship, and so I don't
Yeah.
want anybody. But his
Mm-hmm.
son is saying, hey, Dad, that
I
is
grew
your
up with
lived
this
experience,
friend.
but
Yeah.
this
From.
is my
Mm-hmm.
lived experience. Why
Mm-hmm.
don't we give my lived experience also a chance? And praise
Yes.
God
Yes.
Almighty, they are married with three wonderful kids, and my
Mm-hmm.
uncle loves them kids. I
Thank
mean,
you
Yes.
for answering my
he's
question.
exactly, you know,
That's why. That's
he's
why
so
this. Mm, that's why we're
yeah, he's so
saying
yeah,
change.
exactly,
Change. Change won't
change.
be easy, but we
Wow.
need to push. We
and
need
and,
to
and
push.
Mm.
the, I mean, it's not something that happened overnight. I mean, it took
No,
about
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
3 years of talking, of families
Yeah.
coming together, having
Yeah.
Yeah.
conversations, and saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
you need to
Yeah.
come," and it cost him. I remember he was a big guy, but he ended up like bones,
Mm-hmm.
because he was
Mm-hmm.
stressed out.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah.
see, we need to be willing to fight that fight,
Yes.
and
And
say,
this,
"Hey,
yeah, the
So
fight, the
five.
persistence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Five.
Yes.
5 minutes
mhm,
left. Stanley. Stanley. Can you? Do you want to
Yeah,
add?
no, general to say, I think you know we need individually and collectively to always remind ourselves of our vision, and because I think we out of this meeting, as we leave this meeting, we'll face different challenges, and sometimes in our little corner, you can end up becoming discouraged, but I think from time to time, like has been said before, let's keep the conversations going. Let's from regularly, let's check on each other, to
Mm-hmm.
keep on encouraging each other on this path. Otherwise, yeah, if along the way some of us we start falling off again, then it weakens this whole idea.
Yeah. So we brothers keeper,
Mm,
look out for one another and just
mm,
encourage, each other and stuff. And
mm,
then that's when, that's how we're going to, realize a meaningful progress and talk about these things and, not just
mm,
ignore things and stuff you know,
mm,
be afraid that, oh yeah, if you say this and ABCD, these people are going to come for you. You know,
yeah,
it doesn't work out like that. We see all these nations like England or, you know, where they came from. They were nothing. They fought wars, world war. This place, it didn't have all these buildings and stuff, but they
mm,
fought and,
mm,
they started building infrastructure and stuff and they moved on. Even the people that fought the war, it's not the same people that are leading in these influential positions. You
mm,
know, they just gave each and every person in the country to express themselves. If they want to venture into politics, you can do whatever you want to do, you know and again, a politician is serving the community, not the opposite. What we see
mm,
in developing nations, that
exactly.
the politician is a celebrity and stuff and all that, and then they end up supporting, or putting, their children on the next line. So all those things we need to just reverse them and ensure that each and every individual in our communities has got a chance to do whatever they love doing in the community, and also that our resources also benefit the community rather than going to offshore accounts and stuff and all that. Um, that has to change. I mean, Africa is a beautiful continent. We've
It
got
is.
more than enough resources. I said it earlier on that a country like Ghana, they produce coca, beans, which is 70 more than 70%.
Mhm.
You know, uh,
Worldwide.
yeah, worldwide.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
100
Together
billion
with
in the
Together with Ivory Coast, we are the
Ivory
leading
Coast. Yeah.
producers. Yeah.
hmm
Mm.
So if our leaders can, reason and understand that, Africa first, just like other presidents, America first and this and that. So yes, Africa first.
Mm.
Yes, we can collaborate with other nations and stuff when it comes to a trade and stuff and all that. We are a global village. We need one another and we have to learn from one another, so we can improve our communities and stuff like that. But we also have to ensure that our people are also benefiting from these resources that are coming from our regions and stuff and all that, and we promote things like devolution as well, uh you know uh to ensure that every region has got a share and they've got a say as well. So that is what is lacking and stuff, and I think as we continue to collaborate with one another, we'll see a meaningful progress. I mean, yeah. And there's this thing about entertainment. We love to entertain ourselves, and there's you know uh, um, um, entertainment is good. There's time for everything, but
Yeah.
then we need to educate and so that our next generation can do good things, and challenged to do good things rather than focus on things that do not add value at all. Like entertainment, yes, is good, but is it gonna, change our communities? Is it gonna challenge, these systems that are put, or the policies that are put in place in our communities? It's not gonna do it. So we'll keep going in circles just because we are not educating our young people. So, it is a mandate, it is our duty that we help one another and we also educate people, and that's why we have platforms like this.
Yeah.
Conclusion, guys. We are beyond
May it
we're
continue,
going.
these
Mm,
platforms, these talk shows, any other, thing that can help, conscientize us and spread the word, like what my dear sister was talking about. We have to spread the word.
mhm.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. I stand
Final
with my
final
brother.
say.
Education.
Mm,
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. Education. 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 You need
education,
to.
education, education.
Life is about improvement. Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, good people. That's what we
Thank you
have
so
for you today, and today or this morning, this evening, afternoon, wherever you are. We'll continue. Coming up with these topics that are, going to challenge us, topics that are going to stimulate us, so we can do more in our communities, not just, entertainment. Yes, we want to, entertain ourselves. There's time for everything, but there's also, time for things like this. So we can, challenge, the system and improve our communities, and that is what we're trying to do as House of Africa. Everyone, you guys are House of Africa. We are stronger together. We need to, collaborate, give each other a platform. You can also go on our website, www.houseofafrica.org. We've got a lounge platform where you can join in, create your account, and also put any topics that you think of, topics that can add value to our lives. Then we'll bring them on here, discuss about these things, because they say iron sharpen iron. We learn from one another. We don't know everything, so we want to hear from you beautiful people. And also we've got a directory on a website. You can also come and create a listing of, if you've got a company, you can create a listing on that, so we can tell people about what you do when it comes to your services and stuff, and people can come and ask for those services, or refer people, the people that are connected. It's all about just being connected. This is a hub, so we can promote one another. We're not reinventing any new will, as we said earlier on. Like other communities are doing it. The Jewish people have done it, and they were successful with it. They've got businesses everywhere across the world. They've rebuilt Israel. Money talks, and we also want to generate that money that will speak on our behalf, and also be able to challenge all these systems that are in our communities, so we can do more. That's uh, what we can say for now, and see you next time. Thank you, beautiful people. Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye. Thank you, guys.
Good
Next
night.
time.